Hello and welcome to the Cartoonist Studio. Are you a little bit surprised? It's only been, well, this is the second week because 2 weeks ago you had a video. This is not the usual 6,000 year gap that you've become used to with this channel. No, this year one of my resolutions, the one I'm actually going to keep, is that I'm going to make this channel more regular. Now, at the moment I'm struggling to make it weekly. So I thought, right, okay, let's scrap weekly and let's go fortnightly. That is manageable. So we'll go fortnightly, and then when no one's looking, we'll go into weekly. I may also throw the odd one in which will give it a weekly effect when I do the Adam and Eve cartoons. It's not necessarily a tutorial or anything else like that. It's just following me drawing a cartoon. Some people love to know how cartoon strips are drawn. There you go. Every now and again, I'll throw one in. Right, that aside from that, Happy New Year. I hope you had a fantastic Christmas and a wonderful, wonderful New Year. And here's to the positive vibes for pushing it forward and having a damn good whole of your year. I'm certainly going to have a jolly good laugh, whatever I do. I just hope that everyone appreciates it. Right, this also point I'm talking is a double celebration for me, because when this video goes out, it'll be too late, because on the 7th of January, which to me was last Saturday, I hit 60. A milestone. It's the first of the milestones you don't want to hit, but I hit it anyway. Full on. I still have the bumps and bruises. So I've had a good time. My kids took me out. They gave me a fantastic day, a day that I will never forget. And so yeah, that's it. 60 now, move on. And with those positive vibes, that is what today's cartoon is about. It's about being positive, it's about being nice, and hopefully we'll carry on like that. It's a kind of an editorial cartoon, but it's not. It'll go to my Cartoon Stock website where people can download it. It can be used throughout the year. It hasn't got to be for New Year, but it's kind of ideal for this time of year. So we'll go through that in a minute. But before we do that, I turned 60, as I've just mentioned. Don't worry, I haven't lost my mind. I do remember I just said that. And I was watching a documentary. I was born in the UK. I was born in the snowstorms of 63, 62/63. It was 10 weeks of snow with temperatures dropping down to below 30. Unprecedented in this country. If you're not from this country, look it up. If you are, still look it up. It's interesting. It was incredible. This country was not prepared for it. It's never been prepared for it. But the interesting part of the documentary that I watched on it was it was the parallels, only a little bit of it, but there was some parallels between 60 years ago and today. Here's a few. The government told everyone to keep warm. And in those days, about 70% of the population didn't have central heating. They only had a fireplace in their front room. So, of course, the sales of coal were going in and they were burning this thing, and there was freezing fog, and the fog and the smoke, this is in the cities now, got together and formed a very, very noxious gas. To some people, lethal, dangerous, causing lung disorders, illness, and in many, many cases, sadly, death. So 60 years ago today, or this week, you would have seen people walking around with face masks on. That's your first parallel. The second one was 60 years ago today, we just had 12 disastrous years of a Tory or a Conservative government. At the moment, 12 years of Tory government, Conservative rule. Many, many would say disastrous. Also, I think it was 62, I think July 62. You can look it up, the Cuban Missile Crisis. We had just averted a nuclear war with Russia. And finally, the newspapers, the media, those bastions of truth. I think bastion's the word when describing the media. You worked that one out. Anyway, the media had told us in their infinite lack of wisdom and knowledge and any attempt at facts or actual truth had decided that this weather wasn't normal. We're not used to this. We're not used to this much snow. The Russians had created a weather machine, and the weather was the Russians' fault. So even then they were blaming Russia for everything. Now, I'm not getting involved in that argument. You know, you've got your own, you make your own mind up on that one, but I'm just saying the parallels are there. So there you go. Parallels between 60 years ago and today. If you pick someone up from 60 years ago and plonked them into this day and age, they wouldn't see a great deal of difference, except maybe central heating and the internet. Yeah, that's pretty much it, really. Yeah. So anyway, there we go. I was looking outside thinking, what else has happened? Nothing really. So we'll move on from that and let's go and draw a cartoon, shall we? I'll be penciling the whole thing because that apparently is quite popular amongst quite a few of you. I'm getting messages and emails and what have you. So I'm going to pencil it, but I'm going to ink it as well, but that'll be speeded up because you've seen all the business. The rest of it is, whether you do it with a brush or you do it with a pen, you know what you're doing. You don't really need me to teach you on that. So penciling, here we go. So it's a political cartoon strip. Should we go this way or that way? Or this way, we never really know, do we? We'll go one way and we'll draw a cartoon. Oh, and also, like and subscribe. Can't say that enough. I'll probably say it a few times during the video because I'm back to forward. I've already filmed all the video. Now the last thing I do is the intro. So sometimes I've forgotten what I've written or said, you know? Maybe it's an age thing, I don't know. Because sometimes I've forgotten what I've written and said. It's probably an age thing, you know? Because sometimes I think, you see what I'm doing? You see what I did there? You see what I did there? Oh, God. Right, on with the cartoon. Okay, so here we go then. This year, new hope. I hope. I'm going to start it off with a kind of a, I don't really want to call them political cartoons, but kind of a social cartoon. What about what's going on in the world? No, I'm not happy with that. Already, that's wrong size. Scale it correctly, Dixon, or don't scale it at all. There's a good chap. It needs to be a little bit smaller. There we go. Now, we all know that I'm not the world's biggest fan of social media. Or social media is something you can't blame social media. Social media's a thing. It's not a person. But it's made up of a collective of people. And it's a large proportion of those people that I have issues with. And this cartoon is based on them. It's also, as I said, New Year, New Hope. Let's be different. We say this every year. We think, oh, I'm going to do this differently this year. I do that differently. But we can just try the one thing, like, just try and be nice. A lot of nastiness in the world, a lot of misinformation, a lot of hate, and all unnecessary. So let's go back to the original here. This is the guy that used to stand there with the placard, just on his own. BC, a brilliant cartoon strip by Johnny Hart. He did a lot of them with his cavemen. They'd just be demonstrating against this, that, or the other. I mean, he was of his time, I know that. And the cartoons were definitely of their time, but they were good. I loved them. A lot of people did. Ah, there you go. So we're on our way. Little chap here, standing there. And it's a phrase that my mother always used to use, always used to say. So we can fit it in there. You can't say
Anything nice. Don't say anything at all. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. A complete anathema to the social media society, but it's still true. Unacceptable! There you go, right, okay, so there's your basic fella. Standing alone, because let's face it, he's not going to have a great deal of followers with a viewpoint like this, is he? To make him a little bit more lonely, let's do a little bit of paper blowing through. Or maybe not. Maybe I won't. I am standing behind a brick wall. Yeah, it's probably more lonely. And I like this is there. I'm gonna start again. This is the kind of social comment cartoon I like. It's what America does best. These, I mean, they do them brilliantly in the UK. They probably do them brilliantly all around the world. I mean, I'm only aware of my own country, and obviously America, the biggest seller of cartoons, cartoon strips and political stuff and what have you in the world. But they do these very cartoony ones. The British ones are more serious. The American ones can have a bit of humour in it. I like what they do. But they do a lot of this sort of dark area shading like this. So there we go. We got that's your first picture there. Actually, tell you what we'll do. Will we? Let's just have his little dog with him. Nondescript dog. Maybe a little shaggy dog. All going okay so far? Next one. Oh, let's just tighten this up a little bit. I know what's going on, but because I'm going to do the ink, I will do the inking on this one, but I'm going to speed that bit up. I think if I keep the drawing bit at normal speed, and I speed up the inking, and then we get to see the finished thing at the end. Now we'll strengthen this panel now, because we know where we are with it. I also notice with the American cartoons, they tend to be freehand with the panels. They're a rough size. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, and if there's any American editorial cartoonist out there, I know there's not many of you out there anymore, but any out there to sort of say, no, that's absolutely, oh, God damn it, that's absolutely right, these bloody limeys, they don't know anything, then let me know. Correct me. Now he's going to be sort of looking up a little bit, so he's going to be in a little bit of perspective, not much. If you wanted to do it, wanted to help yourself if you were doing this, then a good way of doing it would be, let's get a piece of paper on here, and some pictures are already out there. We'll do it. Oh, it's obviously something I've done in the past. There's your head. You can do it. You could block him out like that. I know. There's the ears, there's the nose. So it would be blocked out. You have his sign. And because we're looking slightly down, you're going to get the perspective. right? So you could help yourself if you wanted to by doing that. I don't need to do that, but you can see where it's kind of going like that by the way I did that there. Actually, I'm going to change this because they didn't over here. They didn't have ties. They tended to be stuck outside in the rain, pouring rain, stuff like that. So they'd have a scarf on. So really old stereotype. I don't know whether they had them anywhere else except the UK. And if it is and you're thinking, what's going on? I'm sorry, but do a bit of research. I am English. I'm proud of it. And I'm mixing the two cultures here, America and the UK. If you're from neither countries, just enjoy. Okay, so a rough idea. That's a little bit too exaggerated, so we'll just shorten that a little bit. And maybe we'll stick his little finger out. Always a homage to Don Martin, that. Got to be the most original cartoonist in the world. And sadly missed. These are the people I learnt off, so, or I admired greatly, and you know, obviously sort of took my early attempts at cartoons were very much influenced by these geniuses. I was talking actually about it a couple of days ago. My brother, one Christmas, I think he must have been flush, because he certainly stopped doing it after that, bought me some cartoon books. And he just really sort of started going into it. I was reading Peanuts and BC and Wizard of Id and all that kind of stuff, and loving it, in all fairness. I'll just square those off a little bit, I think. That's okay. That's okay to do at a point there, but these I think needed to be a little squared off. There you go. Yeah, I was reading all the cartoon collections from America. I think Revette books, I think they were. And I loved them, really enjoyed them. But he went and got me a book I'd never heard of before, and it was Asterix the Gaul. And I read it, and I had all these wonderful gifts at Christmas from my parents, my grandparents, so on and so forth. But when it came down to it, I didn't read anything. I just literally was gobsmacked by the beauty of, I think it's Albert Uderzo, the artist. Stories, Goscinny's stories were amazing, but the artwork just blew me away. And I just sat there the whole of Christmas and just read these books, looked at the pictures. And my dad, because I was dyslexic, and I really had trouble reading, and my dad came up to me, I think, at one point, because I just seemed to be staring at this page forever. And he said, "You're having trouble, son?" I said, "What? No." He said, "Can you not understand the words?" I said, "Yeah, just look at the pictures, just look at the pictures." And I was mesmerised. And so yes, there was people like that inspired me. And once I discovered Albert Uderzo, I was lost to a different world. A pure genius of a different kind. His artistic abilities have yet to be bettered. Right, there's that bit. There will be something in there, and it's going to be sort of like a shape about here, and it's going to come down and all that sort of business. But that's going to be done in the colouring. And the final stage here. Oh, what are we doing? Don't forget the little doggy. And that can be similar to him. in the shape, you know, this shape here, almost squaring it off. Don't forget the bricks. Just rough them in at this stage. Don't need to worry too much about it. And then we have that there. Are we all okay? We all following this? It's all very exciting, isn't it? I might actually, because it's this angle, we could bring in the paving stones as well. And a lot of people don't do this, and it's something I noticed. Maybe I'm the only cartoonist that does it. Just draw little bits of grass or weeds growing up through them. I guess now we've done that, you can actually put them in here as well. Right. Final stage now. Now this is an old cartoon idea, like a large weight has come down and landed on top of the poor fella. And they're usually this shape or round, but I needed them to be this shape. Sometimes they're just round with a big, like a handle, like a ring handle thing on it, like so. But I wanted it to be this shape for a reason. Now, the old style of doing it is, because I'm going to have like a shadow here, and then boom, you miss out the last thing, you miss out the last panel completely, because it doesn't need to be there. It's the setup, the cause, and the effect. Setup, cause, effect. I was never taught that by anyone, and it's just come into my head now. So you don't have to worry about thinking that these are specialist things that only cartoonists know. Half the stuff we make up as we go along anyway. Yeah. And this will now be the cracking of the pavement. Think about your perspective a little bit. Don't just do cracks on there. Think, well, it's coming out at you. How's that? And of course you'd have a few little clouds here. But don't worry, dog lovers. We can half destroy the human, that's no problem. But perish the thought we'd hurt an animal. So the dog's safe. There's the dog. With the lead going down there. Okay, so that's almost it done. The final bit being section it off like so. And we have, well, what can we have? There you are. Don't got much room here, but we'll try and give it a tiny bit of perspective by doing that. No, large weight come from nowhere. So if you can't see anything nice, don't say anything at all. Then it comes, boom, there's your answer. You can have your dreams, you can have your thoughts, but the actual cold reality of life is people like to sit there and think, oh, that's a good, yeah, I'd like to live my life by that maxim. I agree entirely with them. You see loads of these affirmation videos, and they're done in a way to make you think, yeah, they got a point, she's got a point, he's got a point, I need to be more like that. But then within no time at all, we're all back to it, shouting and ranting and raving at Shirley from East Grinstead or whatever. But, and this is another one, I guess, it's just my personal affirmation. It would be nice, and having come away from social media and no longer being wrapped up in that world of hate, I can kind of look at it from a different angle and think, yeah, I don't need to be like that anymore. None of us need to be like that anymore. So there we go. This is it. That's it. That's the penciling done. And we've got another one done. Another cartoon done. Another one finished. Another tutorial, whatever you want to call it. A bit of entertainment, watching me draw. I don't know, whatever it is that you want to take away from this or make from it. And if it's the kind of video that you like, then please like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, all the usual things. And keep coming back as I try and keep the new schedule. Because I do these things after backwards. I'll now go away and do the introduction. And if I do say this in the introduction, then please forgive me. But, yeah, just sort of share it as much as you can. Let everyone know. I'm going to try and stick to a fortnightly schedule. That's the plan. I don't know whether it's going to work or not. Doing a weekly one certainly didn't work, but doing a fortnightly one might just work. So every 2 weeks you'll get a video, whether it be following me on my latest project or something like this, you know, where it's just an idea that popped into my head. This will go onto my Cartoon Stock website. Well, my page on the Cartoon Stock website. Where there'll be a link for that down below. So this is going to go out there for people to buy. Although I said it's for the new year, it's social media, so it doesn't really matter. It can be anywhere. It can be any time of the year. People are going to be hateful to each other 365 days a year. So there you go. I start my 60th year on this earth with hopefully a new YouTube channel or an existing YouTube channel that you can grow. But this will be, you'll come along and you'll see me and I'll be drawing and I'll be chatting. Sometimes I'll be silly. Sometimes, you know, this is not a silly occasion. This is more of a statement that I kind of wish that people would take to heart. Right, like, subscribe, follow. We'll go that way-ish or that way-ish or that way-ish or that. We're going to go somewhere anyway. And I will have a speeded up version of the inking of this cartoon. And then at the very, very end of it all, we will have the finished cartoon. So once again, thank you very much for your very valuable time. I hope I didn't waste it. Hope you enjoyed yourself. And I really hope to see you in the next video. Until then, goodbye for now.